Life has a way of introducing lessons disguised as people, and Jessie was mine. Our story began on a night neither of us could have anticipated. It was through a mutual friend that we met, though not in the casual way most do. She arrived in a panic, stepping out of the car with tears streaming down her face, wearing a pink dress that made her look ethereal even in distress. "Are you okay?" I asked. Her voice cracked as she replied, "Can I give you a hug?" Without hesitation, I nodded. She collapsed into my arms, her sadness palpable, her vulnerability magnetic. For reasons I couldn't yet understand, I felt drawn to protect her, even though we'd just met. She asked to use the restroom, and I awkwardly admitted that I was staying at my mom's, but I offered to take her there anyway. When we arrived, I introduced her to my mother, who, to my surprise, took an immediate liking to Jessie. My mom's approval gave Jessie a certain legitimacy that I didn't fully understand at the time. It was as though my mom knew Jessie would be significant before I did. Upstairs, Jessie and I found ourselves in a moment so mundane it was almost comical. She sat down on the toilet, unapologetically herself, as if we'd been friends forever. I was captivated, not by the act itself, but by her ease, her rawness. It was a strange yet intimate introduction to a woman who would both challenge and change me. What began as a chaotic meeting transformed into something unexpectedly profound. Jessie was a yoga instructor, and after sensing my stressed state, she suggested we stretch together. In my mom's house, with the maid cleaning and my mother just outside the door, we laughed and moaned in exaggerated yoga stretches that must have sounded scandalous. It was innocent, yet electrifying, an emotional intimacy unlike anything I'd experienced before. Later that night, we decided to grab some beers and vapes and headed to a local park. We walked Kayla, my dog, and rediscovered the simple joys of being alive. We swung on swings, danced under streetlights, and laughed like kids. Jessie had a way of making even the mundane feel magical. By the time we headed back to my mom's house, I was convinced I'd met someone who truly understood me. Over the next 3 days, Jessie and I spent nearly every moment together, fueled by beers, late-night talks, and, admittedly, some questionable decisions. We shared our dreams, our fears, and even our Pokemon cards. A playful revelation that cemented our dynamic as Jessie and James, a nod to the infamous duo from Pokemon. My dog, Kayla, was our Meowth, the final piece of our whimsical little trio. But, as the days blurred, the reality of our situations began to set in. Both of us were facing eviction, with no concrete plans or stable income. Desperation brought us closer, and we made the impulsive decision to move in together. It wasn't love at first sight, it was survival, wrapped in the romanticized notion that we could build a life together despite the odds. When my mom moved out, Jessie and I scrambled to find a place. A friend offered us a seemingly perfect solution, a shared space that seemed too good to pass up. But, as with most things that seem too good to be true, it was. The cracks in our relationship began to show. Our love was intense, but so was our volatility. We loved each other fiercely, but our differences became glaring. Jessie's free-spirited nature clashed with my need for stability, and our mutual reliance turned toxic. Despite the challenges, neither of us could forget the connection we shared. Jessie taught me to embrace vulnerability, to find joy in chaos, and to see beauty in imperfection. I like to think I taught her something too, though what that was, I may never know. In the end, we parted ways with a bittersweet mix of love and resentment. We were two souls who met at the right time for the wrong reasons, leaving marks on each other that time will never erase. Jessie will always be a chapter in my life that taught me more than I could have imagined. A love-hate lesson I'll carry with me forever.